Most of what you consider to be a financial decision is actually just a biological reaction to a feeling you haven't processed yet. We are conditioned to believe that the economy exists in skyscrapers, on trading floors, and within the complex algorithms of global banking. But for the individual, the economy exists entirely within the limbic system. If you cannot differentiate between an authentic physical need and a nervous system craving for regulation, you will spend your entire life paying a reactivity tax. Money is the ultimate mirror. It does not possess value. It reflects the value, or the lack thereof, that you place on your own internal state. If you cannot sit in a room alone with your own boredom, your own inadequacy, or your own silence, you will eventually be forced to pay someone to take those feelings away from you. This is why emotional intelligence is not a soft skill for the corporate world. It is the most foundational financial asset you possess. Without it, your bank account is not a ledger of your hard work. It is a clinical map of your unresolved impulses and your inability to tolerate the present moment. Part 1. The Identity-Based Pattern. To understand the depletion of wealth, we must first understand the defense of the ego. In psychology, money is often used as a transitional object, a psychological bridge meant to close the gap between who we are and the persona we wish to project. When a person lacks the emotional granularity to identify their internal state, whether that is the sting of a social slight or a deep-seated fear of being irrelevant, they resort to signaling. Signaling is the act of using external resources to broadcast an internal stability that does not actually exist. Consider the concept of affective forecasting. This is our biological inability to accurately predict how we will feel in the future. We believe that a specific acquisition will provide a permanent floor for our happiness. We think, once I reach this level of consumption, I will finally feel secure. But security is a state of the nervous system, not a balance in a brokerage account. When a person lacks emotional intelligence, they cannot distinguish between a value-based choice and a regulation strategy. They aren't buying a vehicle, they are buying a temporary reprieve from the feeling of being small. They aren't overspending on a dinner, they are attempting to purchase a sense of belonging that their own self-awareness cannot provide.
The tragedy of the low EQ individual is the pursuit of a bottomless void. You cannot use a finite resource like currency to solve an infinite problem like a lack of self-worth. Part 2. The Subconscious Blueprint. There is an old psychological axiom: everything that is seen comes from that which was not seen. Your financial reality is the manifestation of your subconscious blueprint. We often think we are driven by our conscious thoughts, the logic of our budgets, and the intent of our goals. But as any student of human behavior knows, the conscious mind is merely the passenger. The subconscious mind is the driver. Your subconscious is the part of you that drives the outcomes in your life while you are on autopilot. It is the reason you find yourself in the same cycles of debt, the same stressful negotiations, and the same patterns of bad luck. If your internal set point for stress is high, your subconscious will actively seek out financial chaos to match that internal state. This is the true law of attraction. It is not a mystical force, it is a neurological filter. If you feel at your core that you are undeserving or that money is the root of struggle, your brain will filter out opportunities for ease and focus entirely on the pink slips in the bills. You attract what you are emotionally tuned to perceive. If you are tuned to anxiety, you will find ways to stay anxious, even if it means sabotaging a surplus. For the emotionally untrained, a surplus of money feels unsafe because it requires a level of stillness and responsibility that their nervous system has not yet been trained to handle. Part 3. The 10-year erosion. We rarely see the consequences of low emotional intelligence in a single day. The damage is cumulative. It is a slow, silent erosion of agency that takes place over decades. Consider the opportunity cost of the ego.
When you lack social awareness, the ability to accurately read the emotions of others and manage the contagion of a room, you lose access to the social capital that builds true generational wealth. High performers are rarely the individuals with the highest IQ in the room. They are the individuals with the highest regulatory capacity. They are the ones who can handle a professional conflict without turning it into a personal vendetta. They are the ones who can hear a no without it triggering a catastrophic shame response. If you are the person who is too insecure to negotiate, or the person whose road rage and office outbursts alienate your peers, you are leaking capital every single day. Over 20 years, the person with high EQ builds a compound interest of trust, rapport, and psychological safety. The person with low EQ builds a compound interest of friction, turnover, and litigation. By the time you reach the midpoint of your life, the gap between these two individuals isn't just a difference in their net worth, it is a difference in their physiological age. The emotionally reactive person is a slave to the environment. They catch the panic of the market, the envy of their neighbors, and the stress of their superiors. They have no internal floor, and consequently, they can never reach a financial ceiling. Part 4. The reframe. Wealth as non-reactivity. We must fundamentally reframe what it means to be good with money. It has almost nothing to do with the math of the transaction and everything to do with the gap between a stimulus and a response. True financial intelligence is the ability to feel the itch of envy, the pang of inadequacy, or the rush of a trend, and simply watch it pass. It is the capacity to be the least reactive person in the room.
The brain is neuroplastic. We can retrain our financial temperament, but this is not done through hacks or tips. It is done through the grueling work of self-monitoring. It requires you to stop looking at your bank statements as a measure of your success and start looking at them as a measure of your triggers. When you develop emotional intelligence, you realize that most of what you were told you needed was actually just a distraction from the work of being a self-actualized human being. You begin to see money for what it truly is, a tool for autonomy, not a scorecard for the ego. A person who has mastered their internal world requires very little from the external world, and that is the only place where true wealth can survive. There is a quiet, somewhat uncomfortable truth that most of us spend our lives avoiding. The global economy is designed to exploit the emotionally illiterate. Every advertisement, every limited time offer, and every algorithm is a surgical strike on your lack of self-awareness. If you do not master your internal world, the external world will continue to use you as a source of liquidity. Financial freedom is not a specific number in an account. It is the psychological state of being unmanipulatable. If you still find yourself needing more to feel like you are enough, no amount of capital will ever be sufficient. You will simply become a wealthier version of the same anxious person. The greatest return on investment you will ever see is the moment you realize that your peace is not for sale, and your ego is a liability you can no longer afford to carry.